What's up, my good peoples? Welcome to the Be Transformed podcast, where we're talking about ideas that stimulate wholesome thinking into identity, purpose, vision, and action. I am James Anderson, and with me is Carolyn Anderson and Logan Eaton. My good peoples, good morning.
Good morning.
Hello.
Hello, welcome to be here.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for inviting me.
Yeah,
Exciting times.
Exciting times. Amen. Yeah, so today is part 2 of management. Management. Yeah, so management is a vital part of personal development, right? It's the pathway to promotion, not just in a job, but in life. You know, proper management prepares, equips, and qualifies you for the next season and for the next level, right? It's like, and even whatever, you know, the next season is or the next level is, it's like it always makes demands on your potential, but it's like it requires your participation, right? It's like it's, you know, God's not going to fulfill our potential for us. It's like, you know, I think he's constantly like reminding us of what we're called to do, of what the season is about, but it requires our participation, our co-laboring. So management, as we said, you know, the BT definition is the effective use of your current resources to create growth and add value. Management. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to look at a couple passages that talk about management and see what kind of wonderful things are hiding in here. So we're going to start off with Luke 12, 42 through 48. It's the faithful steward.
Who then is that faithful and wise steward, whom his master will make ruler over his household, to give them their portion of food in due season? Blessed is that servant whom his master will find so doing when he comes. Truly I say to you that he will make him ruler over all that he has. But if that servant says in his heart, my master is delaying his coming, and begins to beat the male and female servants, and to eat and drink and be drunk, the master of that servant will come on a day when he is not looking for him, and at an hour when he is not aware, and will cut him in two and appoint him his portion with the unbelievers. And that servant who knew his master's will and did not prepare himself or do according to his will shall be beaten with many stripes. But he who did not know, yet committed things deserving of stripes, shall be beaten with few. For everyone to whom much is given, from him much will be required, and to whom much has been committed, of him they will ask the more.
Yeah, what stands out there in that first half of that story?
I'll be honest, I forgot about the part where they cut him in two.
I know,
caught me off guard there when I was reading.
I kept remembering that being the parable of the talents, but it wasn't. That was just weeping and gnashing of teeth. But this guy gets cut in half.
But, you know, it's the delay. So it's like, you know, getting impatient, you know, and I could, you know, you can think about that when it's like, if you're thinking about seasons or you're thinking about, just, you know, kind of waiting on what's next or waiting to hear from God. And it's like, there's a delay. So it's like not losing sight of the end goal, even if you're not seeing it right away. Or, you know, not letting go of your commitment or letting go of like your standards.
Right.
Just because it's not happening the way you want it to happen.
Sure. Yeah. I know. It's, you know, it's like who then is the faithful and wise steward that the master makes ruler over his household? You know, who's the person that gets picked? Well, it's like the person who would show the most ability. But it's like, you know, but blessed is the one blessed is the servant whom the master finds so doing when he comes. Because I say to you that he will make him ruler over all he has. But that's directly connected to the quality in which the servant actually manages his duties and responsibilities. But he's like, but if the servant says in his heart, well, my master's delayed in coming, right? Like, you get put in charge, but it's almost like if like you get power hungry, like I'm now the master, and all you freaking peons are here to serve me, right? Make me all the meat, make me all the food, massage my back, and then when people don't listen, he starts to beat them, right? Make people, kind of become submissive. It's like you just kind of get like, well, the master's gone. I mean, we're talking no cell phones, no mail, goes on a long journey and, is taking quite some time. You could start thinking it's quite possible that guy, the actual master is dead. He's not coming back. So this guy's like, I'm going to take all that he has and it's going to now become mine. He says, the master of that servant will come on a day when he is not looking for him because he thinks he's not coming back. And at an hour that he is not aware because he's out of his mind. And he will cut him in two and appoint his portion with the unbeliever. I mean, you think about being cut in two. Clearly, mismanagement is a little personal to the master, right? That taking the master's resources, mistreating his people, he takes that a bit personal. Whew. Watch out. And then it says, verse 47 says, so that servant who knew his master's will and did not prepare himself to do according to his will shall be beaten with many stripes. It's just kind of like you were talking about, Carolyn, where it's like, sometimes it's seasons are long. Oh, let's just cast off a little restraint. Why work so hard? Why be so disciplined? Why keep showing up? Let's ease up. Let's slack off. Maybe let's not. It's like the servant who knew his master's will and did not prepare himself to do according to his will shall be beaten with many stripes. But he who did not know, yet committed things deserving stripes, shall be beaten with few. For to everyone to whom much is given, from him much will be required. And to whom much has been committed, of him they will ask the more.
Well, it's easy to not realize some of the stuff, especially like growing up in a first world country, some of the things that we have and take for granted that we don't manage or mismanage because we think they're less than other things. So taking an account for everything that we've got and that's been committed to us and not missing the ways that I guess we could manage all that we have. I think that's kind of important at least for us is I've caught myself thinking like, okay, that's less than this, so that doesn't need attention. But in reality, organizing your life to be able to recognize everything that you have and then be working at it to take care of it as if God is returning tomorrow to come and take back what's his. So not passing by the little things that also require management.
That made me think of, our kids, because they don't want for anything, they have everything they need and a lot of what they want, and so we're very fortunate in that way. But then it's like the kids can also be like, well, we'll just get a new one of that if that breaks or whatever. But then also instilling the yes, we do have the means to replace something if we need to, but also that doesn't just mean that you don't take care of what you have, that you don't, appreciate or try to fix, or, you don't just like toss it out just because you have the means, but also that you need to like you said, you need to take care of all the things. And so, keeping that perspective, no matter what it is, we talked about that last time. It's like the old truck and the new truck. It's like, if you're not taking care of your old truck, who's to say you're going to take care of your new truck? It's taking care of whatever you have, whether it's, new or old, or,
Yeah. I was thinking too, time being part of that thing where it's like, what does it say? Who much is given and much will be required, and who much has been committed. I guess like everything that like God breathed his spirit into us. So now he's committed that to us then to take care of and manage that spirit with the time that we have. And, I think everyone likes to think that we've got a lot of time, but time is kind of running out. And so there's a responsibility to, when that time that's been committed to us, take care of that time and that energy and that spirit.
Yeah.
Because God's spirit is a big investment in us, and
For sure.
I think he's expecting a return on his investment.
Yeah, well, everything has to do with having the right understanding and then the right mentality behind it. It's like the right mentality, it sees what needs to be done. It sees the process. It sees, how should you handle this situation? How do you communicate? The right perspective is so vital, right? It says the servant who knew his master's will. That's an important aspect, right? It's like if you're held responsible, you need to know what you're responsible for. Like knowing the master's will is vital. But yeah, man, for everyone to whom much is given, from him much will be required. And to whom much has been committed, of him they will ask the more. Boom. Faithful steward. What we do in life matters. Bam. All right, let's hit up Luke 19:11 through 27, which is the parable of the minas.
A certain nobleman went into a far country to receive for himself a kingdom and to return. So he called 10 of his servants, delivered to them 10 minas, and said to them, "Do business till I come." But his citizens hated him and sent a delegation after him, saying, "We will not have this man to reign over us." And so it was that when he returned, having received the kingdom, he then commanded these servants, to whom he had given the money, to be called to him, that he might know how much every man had gained by trading. Then came the first, saying, "Master, your mina has earned 10 minas." And he said to him, "Well done, good servant. Because you were faithful in very little, have authority over 10 cities. And the second came, saying, "Master, your mina has earned 5 minas." Likewise he said to him, You also be over 5 cities. Then another came, saying, "Master, here is your mina, which I have kept put away in a handkerchief. For I feared you, because you are an austere man.
Hard man, yeah.
You collect what you did not deposit, and reap what you did not sow." And he said to him, "Out of your own mouth I will judge you, you wicked servant. You knew that I was an austere man, collecting what I did not deposit, and reaping what I did not sow. Why then did you not put my money in the bank? And at my coming I might have collected it with interest." And he said to those who stood by, "Take the mina from him, and give it to him who has 10 minas. But they said to him, "Master, he has 10 minas. For I say to you that to everyone who has will be given, and from him who does not have, even what he has will be taken away from him. But bring here those enemies of mine who did not want me to reign over them, and slay them before me."
Lots of punishment in these in these parables. Yeah, so I mean, here's another parable that starts off with there's a there's a certain nobleman who went into a far country, right? So again, it's like here's a master that comes up, gathers up his peoples to give them duties and responsibilities, and then like takes off and leaves for a long time. Which then it's like, here, you have to be responsible with what you've been given.
I'm trying to figure out if it's Mina or Mina. I was looking it up on my phone here. Let's just see what it says.
The Minas or the Minas?
It's probably neither because it's Mina is how they're saying it. Mina. You can cut that out.
I'm not gonna.
I think the I is a silent Z sound. I was thinking of the part just looking back at it. It says do business, which I guess kind of means like go work with what you have, like produce something, bear fruit.
Right.
Yeah, he's expecting a return.
Be fruitful.
It's not just like, here, hold on to this for me.
Right. Yeah, so what he said he gave what? He gave, in this one, he gathered up 10 servants and then gave each of them a mina. Yeah,
So would they have had to like spend that to like get something and then sell that and then get something and then sell that and just continue to generate more and more? So there had to be like a risk taken.
Sure.
Like there was no way they could have just had one and then like sold it for 10.
I give you this dime and you give me $100.
So they had to take a risk with it. I guess that was my
100%.
my point. Like they had to get rid of the one to get something else to end up with 10.
Yeah, to buy something and then sell it, or who knows how long amount of time this was, grow something with the money, and then, or like plants, food.
Yeah, so there was some risk involved.
Sure.
Seems like,
because obviously, if the lowest option was just to put it in the bank, then the other options were, they involved action. You had to do something.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, you're putting it in the bank. That'd be your kind of risk-free. Clearly, doing nothing was not risk-free.
yeah.
I don't know if this guy didn't get chopped into pieces.
No violent.
Well, no, they killed all the people who didn't want him to reign. Who didn't want the noblemen to reign over them. Yeah. So he had 10 servants, gave each of them, delivered to them 10 minas. So he called 10 of his servants, delivered to them 10 minas, and then said, "Do business till I come." And so it was, when he returned, having received the kingdom, then he commanded these servants, to whom he had given the money, to be called to him, that he might know how much every man had gained by trading. Then came the first, saying, "Master, your mina has earned 10 minas." Boom. And he said to him, "Well done, good servant, because you've been faithful with very little. Have authority over 10 cities. Then the second came and said, "Master, your mina has earned 5 minas. Likewise, he said to him, "You also be over 5 cities." And then another came, saying, "Master, here's your mina, which I have kept and put away in a handkerchief. For I feared you, because you are as I just copied this over. Astrur man." It's like hard. Because you're like a hard man. You collect what you did not deposit and reap what you did not sow. And he said to him, "Out of your own mouth I will judge you, you wicked servant. You knew that I was a hard man, collecting what I did not deposit and reaping what I did not sow. Why then did you not put my money in the bank, that at my coming I might collect it with interest?" So it's interesting because now obviously this is just a parable, Jesus is, he's like, what could I liken the kingdom of heaven to? Here's a picture. So it's just a story. But if you think about, if we just consider it and kind of speculate on this story a little bit, this one guy was like, listen, I feared you because you're a hard man. And so I just hid what you gave me so I could give it right back to you. But he's like, listen, out of your own mouth, I'm going to judge you. Because essentially, it's like, if you really believed that, he's like, you would have been terrified to do nothing. You would have been terrified to have nothing to show for your time, right? Because you would know the thing that would actually bother him would be no return. So it's almost like, is it possible that this guy actually thought his master was super kind and forgiving, made up this story about, I was so scared, so I didn't do anything, and he made up some kind of story just so that he could justify not taking any action? Because he's like, well, he's super forgiving, so if he thinks I'm scared, he's going to feel bad, forgive me, and it's all going to go well. But in this case, he's like, shut up. He's like, because, he's just like, if you really thought that was me, you would have at least put it in the bank. But it's like, you just think about, in this case, it's like everybody was given the same amount. But then everybody's coming to the table proving different abilities. One guy brought back 10. One guy brought back 5, but they all just started out with 1 mina. It's like, what are we doing with what we have? And what is the return? What is your potential worth? What is your call worth? It's like, up above it says, the servant who knew his master's will and did not prepare himself or do according to his will shall be beaten with many stripes. So if you flip that around, it's right. So the servant who knew his master's will and prepared himself and did according to his will, right? It's like, how well do you know God's will for your life and God's will for all of us on earth? What is your potential worth? What is our time on this earth worth? Like, how much could the next generation be set up because of the work we do now? What's the return? How well do you know the thoughts that God thought about? It's like when he looked from eternity into time and it's like, oh man, I'm going to put you right here at this time with this gift to go freaking solve this problem like a freaking boss. What is our potential worth? It depends on, 1, how well we understand it, and 2, what the heck we do with it. The master, in all these parables, the master set up his servants with some duties and responsibilities and some resource, and then left. It was solely based on like people's personal responsibility because nobody was managing their time and their effort. Nobody was like, hey, what are you doing? Did you get up? Did you do it today? Did you think? Did you plan? Did you prepare? Did you go talk to some people? Did you make some trades? It's like nobody's managing. They were given some duties and responsibilities, and it was on them to go make it happen. And then there was an accounting. And in both these cases, the person who had nothing to show, it didn't go well for him. All right, so then the next one, last one we'll look at here is Matthew 25:14-28, the parable of the talents.
For the kingdom of heaven is like a man traveling to a far country, who called his own servants and delivered his goods to them. And to one he gave 5 talents, and to another 2, and to another 1, to each according to his own ability. And immediately he went on a journey. Then he who had received the 5 talents went and traded with them and made another 5 talents. And likewise he who had received 2 gained 2 more also. But he who had received 1 went and dug in the ground and hid his Lord's money. After a long time the Lord of those servants came and settled accounts with them. So he who had received 5 talents came and brought 5 other talents, saying, Lord, you delivered to me 5 talents. Look, I have gained 5 more talents besides them. His Lord said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant. You are faithful over a few things. I will make you ruler over many things. Enter into the joy of your Lord. He also who had received 2 talents came and said, Lord, you delivered to me 2 talents. Look, I have gained 2 more talents besides them. His Lord said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a few things. I will make you ruler over many things. Enter into the joy of your Lord. Then he who had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you have not sown, and gathering where you have not scattered seed. And I was afraid, and went and hid your talent in the ground. Look, there you have what is yours. But his Lord answered and said to him, You wicked and lazy servant, you knew that I reap where I have not sown, and gather where I have not scattered seed. So you ought to have deposited my money with the bankers, and at my coming I would have received back my own with interest. Therefore, take the talent from him and give it to him who has 10 talents. For to everyone who has, more will be given, and he will have abundance. But from him who does not have, even what he has will be taken away. And cast the unprofitable servant into the outer darkness. There will be weeping and gnashing of teeth.
Yeah. What else do you gnash? Just teeth? Yeah, so similar story. But instead of minas, there's talents. You know, in the parable of the minas, he was talking about he gathered up 10 servants and gave each one of them 1 mina. And then people came back with varying increase, right? Increase based upon ability. So ability was shown through the increase. Now, in this case, it was amounts of money was given according to each one's own ability. So one was given 5, another was given 2, and another was given 1. But each was given according to their ability. You know, because it ends off, it's like, for to everyone who has, more will be given, and he will have an abundance. But for him who does not have, even what he has is taken away. Well, how? To him who does not have, even what he has will be taken away, right? That's a perspective. If you think what you have isn't good enough or isn't enough, or that you don't have anything, clearly if it can still be taken away, there was a deposit that was made that was not then utilized. You know, so again, you got okay, one guy was given 5, so he goes and he doubles it. Another guy was given 2, goes and doubles it. Then a guy was given 1, and he doesn't do anything with it. Is it possible? So again, if we're just speculating in a story of example, you know, what if in this case, right, the guy with the 1 talent, same. He's like, guy was like, listen, you're a hard guy. I'm so scared. So I hid your money. He's like, you wicked and lazy servant. You knew that I did all these things. If you knew this was me, then you would have acted differently if that is actually the case, right? But it says, you know, even to him who does not have, even what he has will be taken away. So is it possible that the guy with the 1 talent, let's just say he thought he deserved more than 1 talent. It's like, I'm better than 1 talent. You only give me 1 talent? Well, I'm not going to do anything with it. Let me show you. But, you know, you think about, he said to each, he gave to each according to their own ability. What if the guy, let's do some math here. What if the guy with 1 talent doubled what he was given, how much would he have?
2.
Oh, dang, son.
I can add.
Okay, Logan, this question goes out to you, this equation. If he doubled his 1 talent and he had 2, what would he have if he doubled his 2?
What is 4?
No.
I knew it was 22.
No, but like if he went and doubled his 1, right? He would have caught up to the second guy who was given 2. And then if he doubled that, he would have almost caught up to like the beginning of the first guy. And if he doubled that, he would have almost caught up, to the guy who made 10. If he would have put in the effort to double what he had, he would have proved that he can handle more. He would have done the work, had the experience, had to think, had to, like you're talking about, Logan, had to put in a little bit of risk. He would have had all that experience that then would have helped him develop and grow, which would have then maybe stimulated the thought of like, hey, maybe I could double my double. And I could have turned 1 into 4. All the potential in the world. I mean, the parable of the minas, everybody was given 1. Yeah, 1 guy came back with 10, 1 guy came back with 5. It's like Carolyn and I have been talking about this. It's like, just from the books we've been reading, but it's like every possibility exists, like right here, right now. What are we doing with the possibilities that exist? I mean, we got a lot of what is, right? We got a lot of, okay, we know what happened yesterday and the day before that and the day before that. Like, we know how to keep getting the results that we're getting. But it's like, what if you want a new result? I don't know. If every possibility exists, then what do you really want? If every possibility exists, then it was possible for the guy who had 1 talent to come back with 10 as much as the first guy, even though he started off with less. Every possibility exists. It's just like, what are you willing to do? The other thing that's interesting is that, it said it here too, and I think it said it in the minutes.
Oh gosh.
It's
See how many ways we can say that word.
in the meanies, he said to those who's in the parable of the minas, he said, take the mina from him, right, who only had the 1, didn't do anything with it, and give it to the guy who's got 10. But the servant was like, whoa, bro. He's like, hey, master, that guy's already got 10, right? That's not fair. You're gonna give this guy's 1 mina to the guy who's got 10? That's everyone who has will be given. And from him who does not have, even what he has will be taken away. Right? And so it said in the parable of the talents, he says, to everyone who has, more will be given, and he will have an abundance. But to him who does not have, even what he has will be taken away.
I think
Yes.
that's the reality of, like, if you don't put any effort in, that we've talked about this before. It's like you're either growing or you're going backwards. So it's like if you aren't just going to stay still and keep what you have. If you don't improve what you have, you'll actually lose what you have. And you can see that maybe in somebody's life who they're not trying. So not only do they not improve, they actually, decrease in their value, decrease in their productivity, decrease in their motivation. Like, it's going backwards. And so I think if you think about it in that way, it's like, if you think about someone who's homeless and they have just a little bit of money, like, you're going to lose what you have if you don't have a way to generate more income.
Right.
And so it's that, like, I don't know that somebody's coming and actually taking it like physically, but well, in this case he did. But like, if you think about those who don't have, even that will be taken. It's that you haven't actually done anything with what you have, so it won't increase. It can't continue to reproduce. It goes away.
Burn up your resource. Totally. Yeah, I think it can be hard to. It can be, again, we're talking about, okay, every possibility exists. The problem is like you don't actually have access to it until you can see it. Like you have to be able to see what could be to be able to attain it. You cannot attain it if you can't see it, because you don't know it exists until you can see it. And so it's like, when you're talking about being in lack, and then anytime you end up with some resource, you spend it on the immediate need. It's because I think it's hard to picture a life beyond the immediate need, right? Like where, okay, the work I'm doing today is paying my food today. It's like it would be hard to picture, hey, the work, the food I need today, that money's already in the bank. I'm actually working for next month, right? I've got enough resource for this month, and the work I'm doing now is for next month, right? Like being able to picture being ahead instead of being behind. Picture being ahead and in control and on top of, instead of every day it's a I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if I'm going to make enough. I don't know if it's going to work out, right? Instead of having that worry, it's like, no, I'm sorted out for this month. And like you guys are talking about, it's like, I'm going to keep managing. I'm going to keep at it. I'm going to keep trading. I'm going to keep working. I'm going to keep doing business so that then I'm sorting out next month. And I'm going to continue to work and grow and develop to maintain what I have, right? Like I'm not just going to like, okay, this month's sorted out. Let's take a break. Let's have a giant party. Let's spend all our resource. And now next month, you're in a bit of a pickle. But yeah, so it says, to everyone who has, more will be given. Why do you think that is? What did the guy do with what he had? He freaking used it. I mean, it's a safe bet, right? To him who has, he will be given more, and he'll have an abundance. But for him who doesn't have, even what he has will be taken away, right? So he's like, take the money from the one guy and give it to the guy who has 10. But in the parable of the minas, the servants are like, but dude, that's not fair, right? Like, don't you give it to the guy who had made 5? So that guy's already got 10. No, everybody started out with 1. If you give your resource to the guy who can produce, what's he going to do? Produce. Because more is not a transformer, it's an amplifier. So if you give somebody more who already utilizes and manages what they have, they're just going to manage and utilize more. Whereas if you give to the guy who does not have, you give him more. Again, more is not a transformer. That's not going to solve the problem. It's just going to get spent up, misused, and abused, because that's what you do with little. If that's what you do with little, that's what you're going to do with much. It's the little that proves that you're worthy for more, but it's like that's because you use the little to produce more. And I think it's a big piece. You got to work for it. Nobody, except everybody who sat around and didn't actually do business, didn't have anything to show for the time the master was gone. Everybody who sat around not doing anything ended up having nothing to show, and it did not go well for those people. The people who got the well done, who got the faithful servant, who said, hey, you were faithful at this, therefore You're going to rule this many cities. The people who were given more duties and responsibilities were the people who managed and worked with what they had.
They already proved themselves.
Right.
They were like, I've got this, and then they showed it.
Right.
And in this last one, he already identified those that he thought could handle it. The one he was already predicting, you're
Right.
probably not going to, well, according to his ability, and he got one.
Yeah.
So he already identified that person as less likely to succeed.
Well, sure. Or like, okay, you haven't demonstrated
Sure.
that you can do more. So show me what you can do with this. And he did nothing. But again, if you think about again, every possibility exists, but if you look at what you have and you think, well, there's nothing there, or it's not good enough, or I'm better than the one talent, I should have had more, right? Sometimes our ego can be bigger than our results, meaning we can look at ourselves and think, I'm better than this. But on the outside, it's like, show me your results. Don't show me your freaking talk. Show me what you have done. You can get into a little bit of entitlement sometimes, right? Thinking that like you're owed, you're due something. Oh, you deserve it. You're so, it's like delete deserve from your vocabulary. On one end of the spectrum, it's like, okay, well, I've done these things. I'm serving the Lord. I deserve to have this. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, you could, identity crisis. You could be like, well, I don't deserve that. Forget deserve. Forget it. Delete it. Throw it in the trash. Crumble it up. Step on it. Burn it. Throw it through the wood chipper. Stop. Think build. Think create. Think earn through what you do. Right? This guy who only had one talent had the opportunity for development, but he didn't use the resource he had to do it. And I just think this is a huge piece of the puzzle, is that you actually have to do work, right? Your results are what prove what you can do. If all you have is talk, I'm telling you right now, you don't have enough. It didn't go well for the guys who didn't have anything to show. And that is a fact. Right? So this week I was reading I'm reading through Joshua, and you got the Israelites coming into the promised land. And they're at this stage they're a little ways into it, right? They already did Jericho and Ai and these other places. And so in Joshua 17, it says that the children of Joseph spoke to Joshua, saying, hey, why have you given us only one lot and one share to inherit, since we are a great people, inasmuch as the Lord has blessed us until now? So Joshua answered them, If you are a great people, then go up to the forest country and clear a space for yourselves there in the land of the Perizzites and the giants, since the mountains of Ephraim are too confined for you. But the children of Joseph said, whoa, the mountain country is not enough for us. And all the Canaanites who dwell in the land of the valley have chariots of iron, both those who are of Beth-shean and in the towns of those who are in the valley of Jezreel. And Joshua spoke to the house of Joseph, to Ephraim and Manasseh, saying, you are a great people and have great power. You shall not only have one lot, but the mountain country shall be yours. Although it's wooded, you shall cut it down, and its farthest extents shall be yours. For you shall drive out the Canaanites, though they have iron chariots and are strong. It's interesting, you know, obviously there's some details to this territory and to, you know, what Ephraim and Manasseh are talking about. But it's just interesting. So here you go. You got this group of people who's like, listen, we want more. We deserve more. We're a great and mighty people. What's that? It's a little bit of ego, a little bit of entitlement. Joshua's response: if you are a great people, then go up to the forest country and clear space for yourself. Right? If the mountains of Ephraim are too confined for you. Now this is interesting. Again, I'm missing some details, but just as I read it, right? It says, but then the children of Joseph were like, the mountain country is not enough for us. So that's the mountain country is what they're in right now. Joshua's saying, take this forest country. They're saying, we want more than just this mountain territory. So Joshua says, fine, go take the forest territory. So then they say again, right? They're saying the exact same thing. It's like the mountain country isn't enough for us. And all the Canaanites who dwell in the land of the valley, which I think is the space that Joshua was talking about, he's like, these guys have iron chariots, thinking it's like you're giving us this territory, but we can't actually possess it. So they were just saying, hey, we're this great and mighty people. We're huge in as much as the Lord has blessed us. Joshua was like, sweet, go take over this territory. They were getting the answer they wanted. They were getting what they wanted, but not exactly how they wanted it. They're like, whoa, wait, we're going to have to work for it? It's like, listen, it's scary. These people are big. They're freaking got chariots of iron. I mean, how are we going to do that? Plus, it's forest, right? So Joshua straight up says, he's like, you gotta cut the woods down to make yourself space. It's like, wait, but we got to work for it? One, we got to fight these people who seem impossible, and we have to freaking chop down trees to make clearings for our houses? Come on, man. Can't you just give us some plains? But it's just like, it's this idea where it's like they were getting what they were asking for, but they didn't want to work for it. And it's just like, it's just not how life works. It's not about sitting, waiting, hoping it's all going to come out, man. It's about utilizing our minds. It's about taking what God has given us, cultivating it, and turning it into something of massive value. That's what this life is about. What you do shows who you are. It's our results matter. Too many times people just, good intentions, right? I had good intentions. Listen, I got good intentions. For reals. I got a list of good intentions. Nobody gives a flying hoot. Nobody can use my good intentions. The only thing people can use are my good actions. The things I actually do, the stuff I actually create, the work I actually do, the stuff I put my hands to, the stuff I put my mind to, the things I create. That you can use. You can't use my good intentions. Don't show up at the end of life being like, well, I didn't want to misuse what you gave me. I didn't want to lose it. So I hid it. Stayed in my basement, watched movies, played video games, got fat, ate Cheetos. But here's what you gave me. Here's it back. I didn't lose it. Didn't miss,
Got worse.
No, man. Management is about using what you have now to create increase. Take that 1 talent and turn it into 2. Take that 2 talent and turn it into 4. Take that 4, turn it into 8. Get out there and get you some. If every possibility exists, for like just everything beautiful, then it's like, what kind of beautiful thoughts are we working towards achieving? Earl Nightingale, talks about it in Lead the Field. He's like, just that exercise of taking a notepad and a pen and sitting down and just being like, all right, how can I improve what I am currently doing? How can I do whatever I'm doing better? and you're just, okay, here's a high quality question, and now take the time to write out every idea that you can just think of, right? If you can come up with 20 ideas, is what he's talking about. He's like, then just write them down. He's like, look, some of the ideas are going to be like stupid. It's like you would never do them. It doesn't matter. It's like it's the exercise of creative thinking towards a positive and beneficial goal. And it's like, if every possibility exists, could we start dreaming about what could be, about who we are, about what we could get into, the things we could accomplish, the change we could influence? But I'm going to tell you, one, it's going to take that creative thought, but two, it's going to take creative actions. Without actions, we have nothing. Without actions, the guy who had 2 talents couldn't have turned it into 4. The guy who had 5 couldn't turn it into 10. The guy who had 1 mina couldn't turn it into 10. Without actions, you have nothing to show. All these parables say we have to have something to show. It's not just having something to show, but it's the byproduct of a life lived on purpose. And that is what life is about. It's about our ability to be connected to the unseen, where we can see what could be. We could see what's invisible and pull it into the visible. The only time you can do that is right here, right now, while you're alive. If your focus is to hop off this planet as fast as you can, I'm telling you, you're going to be the guy with 1 talent or 1 mina. You're going to have nothing to show. And therefore, that thought process is missing some details. So guys, that's us for today. Thanks so much for kicking it with us. Until next time, peace!